Greetings and welcome to Teaching Tips and Thoughts. In this week's discussion, I am going to look at discussion procedures. And really, this is just the way that I handle discussions within my online classes. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And just as an introduction, what do I use for discussions? Well, they're really pretty much for my classes. They are the student to student interaction. So I find them important. This is the one place the students get to really interact well with each other, unless, of course, they're deciding to email or discuss things themselves. It also allows for some student instructor interaction, but I'm careful with this because I find in many cases, if I get too involved in the discussion, it shuts it down. They take my word as being, oh, it's done. There's nothing else to discuss with this. So I have a tendency to stay back out of the discussions unless there's a reason where I need to step in for them. Now, I handle my discussions a little bit differently than other assignments within Brightspace, and that's just because of the way Brightspace handles discussions. So there are some things like the way I have to handle the due dates are a little bit different than other assignments. So let's take a look a little bit about these. And the way I do this is, first of all, I grade my discussions on three things here. A student has an initial post, which I require 250 words. That's due by 6 a.m. on Saturday. Normally my stuff is due 6 a.m. Monday. Discussions are due on Saturday, mainly to give those students a chance to actually do their responses. Because as we know, lots of students will wait until right before something is due. So that means that if all these students are posting late on Sunday night into Monday morning for me, then other students have to sit there and wait for there to be enough posts. So this way they could at least get started. The initial post is due a little bit earlier. The students are required to do 3 responses to their classmates of 75-word minimum. I don't necessarily like putting minimums in there, but it gives the student a guide as to how much I'm looking for. So I do put a specific amount that I am looking for in each of these. The students then have until 6 a.m. Monday to do that. And at 6 a.m. Monday, the discussion locks. It's done, so they cannot add anything. So the way kind of discussions are set up, they can't do anything late with them. And that's part of that is the way that Brightspace handles that, and that you can't really put a given student individual access to a discussion. And then finally, one thing that I do that's a little bit different is I require that the students have read at least 75% of the postings that were made. I give them an extra day to do this again, so they're not having to sit up until 6 a.m. Monday to do that. So I never grade the discussions the first day right after they're due. I give them one day if they need to catch up on any postings. Now, why do I do that? Why do I require that they read them? Well, normally what I'm finding, of course, is that students will do their own post. They'll pick out 3 to reply to, and that's it. And they won't even look at the others. This is just me making sure they've at least looked at that. Just as in a traditional class, we might want them paying attention during a discussion. It's just kind of my way of getting them to at least pay attention to what others have said. Now, when I do it, and we'll take a look at this in a minute, I give them 3 options for their discussion prompt. So they're told to select one of these 3 to give them a choice. And some of these are different types of things that we will look at. Some of them are might be looking at a video. One might be doing something specifically, and one might be reading or researching something. So we can go ahead and take a look at this for one of my classes. So let's go ahead and pull that up here. And here we have one of my templates of my classes. And the way I have the discussion set up, and we can just go look at a discussion here. And we can look at graded discussion. Let's just look at graded discussion number 2. So when they come into the discussion, it will tell them that they need to select one of these discussion prompts. So when this comes up, it opens up a Google Drive folder, which has 3 different discussions in it. And the discussion prompts can be different things. In this case, I'm looking at falling objects, which is one where they have to do an experiment and drop a couple of items to see how they fall. And another one is looking at astronomy of different cultures. And the other is looking at important discoveries in astronomy. So this one involves watching a video. This one involves researching the astronomy of another culture. And this one involves doing a little experiment. So the students can look and see which one are they most interested in doing. Sometimes a student won't want to deal with certain things or doesn't want to watch the video. In this case, the video is probably about 40 minutes long. So if they don't want to watch a 40-minute video, they have a couple other options. Some would rather just watch the video and talk about that. That's great too. So I like to give them a few different options for what they're going to do there, and they have choices from those. Now, then I give them their instructions here as to what the minimums are, and in terms of reading the certain number of posts. I also put in that they are not permitted to edit posts, since we can't specifically set up these. I don't want them editing a post, and I do take a deduction if they do make an edit to their post. And I do tell them it's for any reason, simply because otherwise I have students who will post just a very small thing, go read everybody else's posts because they're locked until they've read other posts, and then that they do not cannot go back and look at what everybody else has posted and then adjust theirs. I'm looking only at what they've posted there. And then finally, I also tell them no attachments. I have students who will type it up in Word and then will attach a Word document to their discussion post. Well, that slows down reading, because then other students are less likely to look at it, because they don't just have to scroll through and look at the post. They have to actually physically download and open the Word document to be able to read what the student says. So I tell them they are not permitted to do that. Now, if they want to add a photo or something, that's completely different, but not to add just into the just put their whole discussion post, say, in a Word document. So that concludes this summary on how I handle some of my discussion postings. We'll be back again next week to discuss another one of these teaching tips and thoughts. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.